Well, Steve, we got an old friend with us today, and I say old because you guys are kind of old.
Wow.
What a way to start.
Okay, well, that's not. First of all, you know how many
He's not
times
wrong.
I beat this guy up. He's not that wrong, but
Well, look at us right now. We're like double Clark Kent's here.
Look at
I
that.
know, it's good.
We'll
Well, they
we'll
kind of are. So you might know him from Days of Our Lives. He plays Brady. You might know him from Passions back in the day. He played Ethan. We got Eric Martsolf. Hey, bud.
How you doing?
Up, Eric?
Good to see you guys. Thanks for having me. Your show is awesome. Can I say
hey,
that?
look at you.
Yeah.
Hey.
Thank you for the tie-in there. That was expertly done.
You're not going to edit that out, I'm sure.
No, that's I'm going to lead with that. I'm going to edit out everything but that. Eric's here. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Done.
That's awesome.
So what's new with you, man? I mean, like, as I said, you've been on 2 shows that have gone from 2001 to current times. So what's new?
What is new? Yeah, I've been doing the soap thing, not as long as you, Steve. I guess it's about 18 years now. I only had about 8 months off.
That's awesome.
Where Gail and Gary and I, we Passions ended. Then we just kind of sat around, with our 2 kids. We both have 2 boys. We both kind of got married, I think, in the same year. And we were both on Passions. We had sort of this parallel universe. And we're like, oh God, what's next? What next? And sure enough, Days of Our Lives, they put out this casting call for Rafe Hernandez. I don't even know why I was called in for Rafael Hernandez. I probably would have stayed.
Oh, you went in for the same role?
We both went in. Wes Ramsey, myself.
Wow, that's
like
crazy.
6 other dudes went in for this.
Murderer's Row. Look at that.
That's just a lineup of just scoundrels, right? From the and it was for Ali Sweeney's new love interest. So it was kind of a big deal because Ali's a big deal on our program. So we had to do this scene where it was very lovely. I think we kissed. Very romantic. And Galen ended up getting that, and I was called a couple weeks later. We don't really want you to be her lover. How about her brother? Would you bring Brady back?
We don't get a sexy vibe from you. We get a more familial, brotherly.
I was like, is that what I was emanating in my screen test? Like, got this brotherly vibe when I was romancing her, but
maybe you're just a terrible kisser.
Bradford, that could very well.
Wow, Bradford's on.
No, I'm just saying, like,
kisser.
Hold
on, let me get my wife.
I'm just trying to think of things that could have gone wrong in the audition that are fun to talk, that are fun to surmise.
Maybe Allie's a bad kisser.
Hey, there you go. Maybe, yeah, you're right. No,
so what year was that, Eric? You took over for Brady?
I knew you were gonna ask me that.
2008.
2008.
Oh wow, that's great.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's been a good run, and I mean my whole career has been encapsulated by replacing another guy. I replaced Travis Schultz, who was the original Ethan on Passions, and then I replaced Kyle Lauder as Brady Black, and I'm still waiting to do a character of my own. I don't know how many decades I have to do this stuff.
Hey,
I don't know. There's a twin.
Could be worse.
There's a twin thing now going on. I mean, who knows? Maybe there's a Jason Morgan in your future. I'm just saying.
Or does Brady have a brother?
Oh, or maybe that's
Greg Vaughn is he's my stepbrother.
Oh.
I don't know. These family trees on these shows.
I know. Eric, hold on. Let me make a quick call.
Hey, Wally Kurth is doing Days in general. I might as well throw my hat in the ring.
That's
Absolutely,
true.
For sure.
I mean, yeah.
Well, it's crazy because I started on Days. That's where I started at my soap.
Did you? I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
It was on Days. Yeah, it was in 1987. And that's actually how Scott and Melissa Reeves met. Scott and I came on it was supposed to be a couple episodes. It ended up being 20 or 30. And then I had to go back to this other show I was doing, and he stayed on, and they met. That's where they met. So
that's amazing.
It was crazy. Yeah.
That's amazing. We have Scott and Melissa in common. It's funny, dude. They were a couple years ago, they were at my table. And we're having dinner, Scott and Missy, and they're just staring at me, and I'm like, "What are you staring at?" They're like, you just got it, Missy's like, "You got to meet Steve." I don't know.
That's so funny.
Yeah, she's
that's awesome.
Cute. Yeah. We share passion for music as well. I rolled around with a band during high school and college, and while other guys were going to fraternity parties, I was getting in my car taking my microphone to these bars in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and like just playing music. And
that's awesome.
Always
dude.
had that itch.
Yeah. So take us back there a little bit. Like when did performing and music come into your life? How young were you?
I was pretty young. I'm kind of the story of Glee in a weird way. Remember the football player where he catches him singing in the shower and he brings him into the choir. It's kind of like this marriage of these two worlds that aren't supposed to go together in high school. That was me. I was a soccer player and a football player, and my buddies dared me to try out for Grease. I was like,
that's awesome.
And there was a cute cheerleader that I knew was going to be in the show, and I'm like,
generally is that a lot of our stories are similar.
It's all about the girl, isn't it?
It's all about and this was in Pennsylvania. This was in Allentown.
This was in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Oh, Harrisburg. Okay.
Which is like, it's right between Philly and Pittsburgh. So we don't have a football team. We don't have anything. So right off the bat, you're forced to choose between these two things. But anyway,
you're the capital. Isn't there anything cool there?
No, that's it. We're the capital. That's really all we got. We got Hershey Park, which I was a singer at for 4 years because that was the only thing you could really do that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Hey, I sing next to a chocolate factory. That's great.
Yeah. Well, actually, one of
my Willy Wonka.
You got paid in chocolate.
My wife and I, one of our best friends married a girl from Hershey. They met doing summer theater at Hershey, and so at their wedding, my wife and I kind of reconnected after not seeing each other for years after college. At their wedding in Hershey.
What was her name?
Sarah Butler is her name now. She's a choreographs on Broadway. She's just
her maiden name wasn't Anderson, was it?
Sarah Edwards. I think it was Edwards. She's a couple years younger than me.
Okay. I was there like at 89 to 93.
Yeah, I think their first year would have been like 99 that summer.
I obviously don't know because I'm old.
That's pretty. That's been established.
Totally forgot about that.
That's been established.
But so I have a love for Hershey because I found love in Hershey.
That's awesome. Eric, when you were singing in these bars, what kind of music were you singing?
Rock. We were doing a lot of pop rock at the time. I mean, hair bands were cool at the time.
Sure.
Yeah. So we were doing Warrant, and we were doing Phil Collins. We were doing Bon Jovi, and we were doing. We had the power ballad stuff. We had the heavy synthesizers and the big, big guitars. We thought we were Winger. But everybody else in the band had this long hair, and I was kind of the preppy kid. That's another weird thing about my story. I started doing musical theater, and then I actually played trumpet in the jazz band, but I was still a jock. But then I got recruited to sing in this band by like the heads, the dudes that smoked by the brick wall where you don't go.
Because they knew you were a singer from your musical theater stuff, or what?
I think one of them saw me in a choir concert. I don't know. Word got out somehow that this guy liked rock and roll and he sings it. Maybe I was singing at my locker. I tend to do that. I'm in the makeup chair, like singing and annoying everybody at 6 a.m.
Oh, amazing! Amazing.
I just got to do that, and I'm sorry to all my cast members, but this guy, he kind of his leather jacket dude. He's like, hey, Martsolf. I don't know what your name is, Martsolf. So listen, we're putting a band together, dude. I'm like, oh, that sounds great. So to this day, some of those guys are like some of my best friends.
That's so cool, man. That's so awesome.
We did some tunes a couple of years ago. They're still plucking away, and they're like, can you fly in and put ladies vocal tracks down? And I'm like, I don't know, babe, can I do this? She's like, no.
Right.
You're a father now. We have things to do. You can't be flying to Pennsylvania.
Can I fly to Pennsylvania to not get paid but hang out with my buddies and make music?
Yes. Exactly.
Right.
I want to like do some music and go to Arby's and like just do some rock tunes that are no longer relevant.
Awesome.
Right. So, but musical theater was something that kind of stuck with you for a bit, though, right?
Yeah, it did stick. I went to school. I went to school to be an attorney. My dad was an attorney, and I got my pre-law degree from Dickinson College. But all the while, I was studying for that pre-law degree. I was working at Hershey Park.
Right.
So I had these two worlds that I had to choose from. And graduation day, my dad pretty much came to me and he gave me the green light. He said, "Look, man, I don't understand this musical thing. I don't understand this acting thing that you do, but I'll tell you what, I know it lights you up. I know that you enjoy the hell out of it.
Yeah.
That's
I
amazing.
know that I don't enjoy the hell out of being a lawyer. So
Wow, that's
don't-
something.
you don't
Yeah.
hear dads doing that for their kids. More often it's, hey man, you got to stick with the stable path.
Right, totally.
And
Yeah.
my father gave me that liberty. And I moved to New York 2 weeks later.
Wow.
My mom was bawling. She dropped me off in the middle of Queens in this really awful place. And I started hitting the streets and going to these auditions and singing. And sure enough, 6 months later, I got a job as a singer on a Hawaiian cruise ship.
No kidding. Well, that's a good gig
how,
though, isn't it?
How long was that?
I was out there 9 months.
No,
9
really?
months. And it seems like a lot. It was a long time to be on a boat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It really, really was.
How often were you guys in port or never?
It was a week itinerary. So we
Okay.
would sail at night and you'd wake up in a new island every day.
Well, that's
So
kinda
I had
cool.
I had my mountain bike on Kona, and I had my stuff that I did on Maui, and I had my stuff on Kauai, and I just had my life out there, and it was great.
Yeah.
But then I met some of Dolly Parton's people while on that boat, and then my butt ended up at Dollywood a little while later,
dude.
and I was there for 3 years singing with the Queen.
That's amazing,
Wow,
dude.
man.
Wow, talk about an inspirational person, huh?
Oh, she's the best. The day I met her, I was so nervous. I heard that I was going to be singing with her for this big show, and I walked up. I'm like, "Hi, She's like, "I know who you are, Eric. I know who you are. Now, where do I pee in here?"
Wow.
Yes, I'm like, "This is your theater, Dolly. Shouldn't you know what the bathroom is?" She's like, "Well, just put your hands out, honey. I'm just kidding. Come on, she put you at total ease.
Wow.
Yeah, she's one of those people you can't believe you're actually talking to.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And was that like a 5 day, 6 day a week thing that you were doing there, or is that like a weekend thing?
I was doing sometimes 4 or 5 shows a day.
Yeah.
Wow.
For like 3 years. I was supposed to be there for 3 months. It was a 3-month contract, and so much like in our world, you'd think you're going to stay for 3 months. 3 years just went by.
Yep.
And then I got a call to go out on tour with Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, and that
with Donny Osmond tour.
I was on the Osmond tour. It was Alan Osmond, who was the oldest brother.
I forgot they kept switching off.
Yeah, they just tag, and then they,
It's funny because one of the first guys that did that was Michael Damian.
That's right.
From Y&R.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I saw Donnie do it in Chicago when I was younger, and I was like, and it was the cool, I don't know, it seemed to me it was the coolest thing around at that time, but I'm not sure if Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat was ever cool.
No, I thought here's what's cool about it. It's the shortest running show in Broadway history. So there was one time when I was on the road, I was out there with that show for 3.5 years. And
oh wow, dude.
For like
you don't have blips, you have stretches.
Yeah, no kidding.
I don't say that's my problem. I don't.
No, that's a good thing though, man.
No one,
unless you kick my butt
no one's getting
room,
rid of you.
I'm
That's
staying.
good.
I get so comfortable, and you find the joy and the love in what you're doing, and you just stay. I wasn't going to do
that's a theme. That's a theme we're going to come back to. I think when get comfortable and find the joy in what you're doing. That I think we found our title too. But let's come back to that. But so touring with Joseph, like, were you doing big cities? What were you doing?
Well, the first leg was non-union. That was bus and truck.
Oh,
that was you know.
It had gone from union to non-union, probably, right? Because
no, it was no. It was off the road for a while. The Troy organization brought it back as a non-union tour.
Sure,
busing and trucking. After a year and a half, the show got so popular, it went union. They fired everyone except myself, a narrator in the show, and another guy, one of my best friends to date. And we got our equity cards.
Wow.
And they said, we're going to revamp in New York and do the show with the equity cast. So we begrudgingly go to New York and meet the equity cast. All our friends have been fired. We're like,
oh yeah,
God,
sure,
this is gonna walk in the room. There's Patrick Cassidy, who is a dear friend of mine, who's playing Joseph. Debbie Gibson was the narrator. And there's 7 Osmonds. Alan Osmond had 7 sons, and they all play the sons in the show.
Wow.
Wow. So were you like Potiphar?
I was the Pharaoh.
The Pharaoh, of course, the Pharaoh.
I was the Elvis swinging Pharaoh.
Right.
And of course, during lunch, there was this rehearsal, and there's this girl doing the Apache dance, with the Canaan Days dance. She's the waitress.
Yeah.
that there's nothing to eat or whatever. And I'm like, who the heck is that? And she turned out to be my wife. I fell in love with this girl just watching her dance and being tossed around by these guys. I'm like, oh no, like I was having such a good time on tour, just being irresponsible and
Sure.
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
I was like, I just want to keep having fun. Let's keep this party going. I'm like, oh crap, I really like
parties.
this.
Party's over.
Party's
But something
over.
new's begins.
Party's over.
Wow.
Well,
But
there's your
hit you and
title.
done.
Party's over.
Party's over. Yeah. No, but then, but how?
Party's
I
over
mean,
with Eric Martsolf.
but like finding and dating while on tour and having all those experiences together, that must have been really cool.
Everything's on fast forward on tour. Like,
Oh,
you get to know people. You're eating with them. You're working with them. You're doing everything with them.
Right.
So the relationships just are on fast forward. So these people become very, very close very quickly. So the thing with Lisa, that it just blew me away. And before I knew it, I'm like, we should move to LA together. I think I love you. We should go to LA.
Well, because the alternative is going back to New York, and then you get jobs that make you go that way. And then what?
Well, she was a New York girl too. She had lived in LA before. She was in that dance circle community with Paul Abdul and Jennifer Lopez, and when they were all gigging and doing dance gigs. So she was up for that. But I wanted to go back to New York. One of the reasons I got involved in soaps in the first place was because I had these Broadway ambitions, and I heard about these stories of all these guys that were and women that were doing these gigs on Broadway at night, that the shows were allowing them to do that. I'm like, what great flexibility, how awesome. Like, and
I thought I
all
remember
the shows moved to LA, and I'm like, oh,
right,
man.
sure, right, yeah. No, I remember I was a couple years out at NYU. My friend Bobby Stegert was on All My Children, and I was like, and then he was still like he was still auditioning for Broadway and getting Broadway gigs at night, and I was like, what is this wizardry? I want
exactly.
Like, come on. Like, well, and who I've always admired is who is the not the patriarch, but from was it Guiding Light? The guy that he does ensemble stuff on. Oh yeah, he played opposite Maura West on.
I know who you're talking about. I know who you're talking about.
As soon as Guiding Light was done, he was in How to Succeed. Like, and I was like, man, like it made me really miss New York because
go ahead, buddy. Sorry.
Well, just as a creative person, like living in LA, there's certain like there's only certain amount of jobs that you can get hired for here. It seems in New York, if you have a wider skill set, there's just more. And now that there's more TV in New York and more stuff that hires out in New York, there's just like But then you have a family and you like the comfort of California.
Yeah, it does feel that way. I mean, now that I have a family, I couldn't imagine raising my boys in New York City, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I mean, but being single and being on a soap opera back then in New York, first of all, was a trophy. Then if you were able to do Broadway or something off Broadway at night, oh my, I mean, come on.
You're double dipping.
Oh, dude, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So, all right. So Joseph, you guys, that culminated, and then you did go back to New York. You went to LA.
We went to LA at the advice of it was actually Jodie Benson, who is famously the voice of The Little Mermaid.
Oh yeah,
she was the narrator at the time, and she is now my kid's godson, our very dear friend. She was the one that pushed us. She came into my dressing room one night and said, "So I hear you're gonna try to go do Gaston or something in New York." I'm like, yeah, I am. She's like, "You need to come back to LA. You and Lisa need to come to LA." I said, wow. No. I heard about LA. It's just great TV. No, how do you break into that? What do you do? I don't know. She's like, "Eric, just give it a shot. What have you got to lose?" And I took her advice, and we got a little place in North Hollywood, and we started bartending. We were I actually bartended the Soap Opera Digest Awards.
Dude, and then you won one.
I won one the next year.
Only in Hollywood.
The following year, that's one of my favorite stories. I'm like, dang, I'm serving these guys drinks. I probably served you a drink, dude. I'm like, oh, man,
probably
get my shot here. What do I have to do?
But what a story that is. That's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's when they did the soap. I mean, that's when they did it right. Like that was really a great. They did a really great award show.
Yeah,
Like,
it was
they really did.
fun. I mean,
Yeah,
they threw some money into that. People had a good
Yes, they
time.
did.
And
Well, I mean, it was
Yeah.
probably more for the fans than like, because the daytime Emmys were never about, like it was never wholly about soap fans because the show isn't wholly about soaps, right? Like,
Sure.
but the
sure.
soap opera awards, what was soap opera digest awards? What was it?
Digest, yeah,
Soap Opera
digest,
Digest
yeah.
Awards. It was just
Yeah.
purely to recognize a lot
Yeah.
of the new talent and the up and comers and
Right.
Yeah,
Some
it's-
more.
it
more
it
categories.
celebrated the hard work. It wasn't, I don't think it was necessarily a popularity contest. It was more of a, you know what? We all admire this person for doing what they're doing. And I don't know. I just felt like it recognized people that were putting the work in. And
Yeah, cool.
I missed that event,
Where did they have it?
Yeah. Universal, from what I remember, a lot of times was at Universal.
The time I did it, it was in Hollywood somewhere.
Oh, interesting.
Some really cool room. It was almost intimate, but it was, I don't know, it was a nice space. But yeah, they've done it at Universal.
Did they
I
televise
also
it?
worked at for 4 years.
What'd you say?
I was at the theme. I worked for Universal Theme Park. I was Spider-Man. I was the Rock I was the Scorpion King in the Mummy Maze. I was Elwood Blues in the Blues Brothers show. I did like
Dude.
7 shows.
All in that year before booking, right? Because you said it was
Yeah.
about a year, right?
Yeah, I was doing Spider-Man Rocks, the stunt show, which the company I was keeping in that show, most of them are on Broadway today. It was this ridiculous cast. I was in my Green Goblin outfit. I played Spider-Man in the park. I was Green Goblin on the in the show. And I'm getting onto my glider. It's the night before opening. It's tech or whatever, and my Motorola flip phone with the antenna rings.
Yeah.
I pull up my mask and I get it. My agent's like, "You got it." I what?
Wow.
You're the new Ethan on Passions. They want you on set tomorrow.
Oh, man.
Wow.
And I remember putting that antenna down really slowly. I looked at the stage manager and he's like, he's not coming out. I don't know. He's not coming out. So the glider comes out with the track, Spider-Man, and no one's on it. And they're out in the audience going, "God, what happened? What's going on?" And I come walking down the side of the stage and I looked at Michael Laughlin, who was the entertainment director, and he knew that I was up for this part. And he went, and the whole cast slow clapped me.
Oh, that's
80s,
awesome.
80s slow clapped me.
I
out
love
of the
that.
play while I walked out, while the director at the time, I won't mention her name, she was like, "He can't just what are we?" Meanwhile, there was like 9 goblins that they had, so it wasn't like
Sure. That's what
Right.
I was
You
gonna
weren't
ask.
you weren't catapulting the show, like, or
because
yeah,
the
you weren't.
show was beating people up. You remember the tragedies of the Spider-Man on Broadway, like a guy died.
Was this kind of the beginnings of that? Did they try to use some of that technology?
It was the concept, and I
Yeah.
was doing pipe fights in smoke with masks, like
Oh,
hitting each
dude.
other. Like it was
Oh,
a
man.
dangerous show, and a lot of people have
Yeah.
gotten hurt. So
Yeah.
I was very happy to lead
Yeah.
that particular
Right.
production.
Less injuries on soaps. I
Right.
think.
Well, I don't know. I've been knocked out a few times. I don't know what you guys with, breakable
Ooh.
vases.
Oh,
breakaway.
we don't smash people with vases as much on our show as I think they do
Yeah.
on Days.
Yeah.
Like that seems to be like something that happens pretty
Dude,
regularly.
I don't know. But Passion was big on smashing stuff.
Oh, was it Passions too? Yeah.
Yeah, my buddy, you guys know, Justin Hartley, right?
Oh yeah.
Of course.
He was my brother on Passions, and to this day he will deny this. He'd hit me with a breakaway vase, but he hit me with you're not supposed to hit with the butt of it. The butt is like pure condensed sugar. You're supposed to do
right.
the top, which is breakable. He hit me with the butt of it, and I went down. I had to get stitches in my head that
No.
because
Oh, man.
and to this day he'll be like, "Dude, that was totally your fault. I don't know what you did."
That's so him too, though.
Yeah, it was not me. I did not screw that up. All right.
We've done so many stunts at GH, and there's the only time I'm ever nervous because I've done so many fights and stuff, whatever. And it's always the guys who go, "Yeah, I train in martial arts," or "I train and I'm a boxer." I'm like, "Oh, I'm freaking gonna get punched.
Yep.
I'm getting punched.
Yeah.
I'm getting punched right now."
Why is that? I guess those
I
guys.
don't know.
The adrenaline just kicks in, and
I
then
don't know, man. It's like,
what happened to your safety protocol? They don't teach stage combat to these kids coming into these shows either, though.
Oh no, dude. And now, because it's sometimes budget stuff, half the time I'm doing stunts with guys who aren't even stunt guys.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, man, you got to know how to take a punch. You got to know how to throw a punch. There's a bit of an art to this. That's why there's classes for it in theater.
Or you should just try to get in less fights.
That wouldn't be dramatic, would it? I mean,
that's true.
You have to talk. You have to
sit
talk
around a
Ron.
bubble bath and make love to someone for months on end. You have to.
There you go.
You have to fight.
Yeah.
You have to
Well,
fight.
so tell me about talk about passions at the beginning, like, because I remember, I used to watch.
What did you guys think of Pat? Now, be honest.
Well, I didn't know much. Well, like we have this great, I don't want to call it a great bit. I don't want to be self-congratulatory, but we have this bit on our podcast called Passions or Florida Man.
Really, explain that to me. What does that mean, Bradford?
So I read Steve a headline and he has to guess whether it happened on Passions or it was done by a Florida man from Florida.
I gotta say, that is brilliant on so many levels, and probably really hard. Probably really hard.
I've got you wrong. I've got you wrong.
Galen and I were in the middle of the ocean. When I say ocean, a giant water pit. We were supposedly shooting sharks with handguns in the middle of the ocean with wet saltwater infused guns, which we later found out would never go off.
Never.
And of course, it was a shark frenzy, and we're just shooting all these tiburones because they were Mexican sharks, because we were in Mexico at the time looking for his sister Teresa.
Oh yes.
And I just remember thinking, this is awesome. Like this is great. Anything goes. Like, we knew what we were doing.
Yeah,
sure.
Right.
You had to, right?
It was,
Oh yeah.
We embraced it. We're like, okay.
Well, that was one of my questions that I had, is like, because I mean, it was a style, right? So how do you lean into that style without commenting on it? Do you know what I'm saying?
Rehearsal helped.
Yeah.
Rehearsal, you got out all the funnies. You got out all the, this is ridiculous. I'm not gonna say that. So you get that out, then you do it.
Right.
Then you do it with commitment.
Yes, I guess
make everyone believe that you believe this. This is happening right now. There's blood coming out of the walls, and that's a demon ready to eat me. That's a snake coming out of the wall.
Well,
and this is so fun.
Yeah.
And
right.
we just embraced it. But the irony of this whole thing is, now that I'm on Days of Our Lives, I remember Gail and I were like, dude, like, now we're on a serious, like, dramatic. So like this,
that's amazing.
This is the real thing. And now we got like this German scientist with a syringe running around bringing people back to life. We got like half the town's possessed by the devil. So it's,
right.
A little passion-esque there.
Well, I feel like soaps have always had that a little element of that, and then Passions just was like, hey, we're going to take that element and just go.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
But Days is always, I mean, because the possession storyline, that is what, 3 decades old? Like it happened in the 80s.
They brought it back, yeah.
Well, funny enough, I probably wouldn't be talking to you guys if it wasn't for that possession storyline, because that storyline itself gave birth to Passions. When that happened, the uptick of fandom and ratings took Days of Our Lives to a whole nother level. And they approached James Riley, the writer, and said, hey man, you want to do another soap with all this supernatural element at the same time? Yeah. That's how Passions was born. So
I didn't know that.
I was just looking that up, Eric, as you said that, about, I wanted to know who the head writer was, and it said exactly what you just said. Yeah. Because I thought it might have been Bob Guza, but that was Sunset Beach. That was a different.
That was Sunset Beach.
That was NBC.
I believe. Actually, we took over their stage, I think, actually at Bradford.
Yeah. So, but that's crazy.
I'm grateful to it. It's fine. I mean, yeah. I mean, we're playing it up right now. I don't know who isn't possessed at this point on our show, but fans dig it. It's easy.
Oh yeah.
You gotta give a nod to it. It was a classic storyline, and why not?
Oh, absolutely. Well, but yeah, like I remember back in the day, like I always watched Talk Soup and then The Soup and Passions got a lot of play on those shows. So you only saw like the things that were out of context and like super crazy, especially out of context.
Even putting them in context, they were crazy.
A little crazy. Yeah. But I mean, you guys, like, I worked with Lindsay recently. because she came onto our show to step in for someone. And like, I mean, it just seemed like a great, and we know Galen very well, and just seems like it was a great group.
Yeah,
it was a really good group, and the fact that everyone kind of started at the same time.
Yeah,
There was no hierarchy. There was really no king or queen. There was no nobles. It was everybody just wanting to make this show a success, because some had families, some were just struggling to make their rent in North Hollywood. We wanted it to be a success, and it was what it was. But I'm thankful for that opportunity. That was my first TV gig, and eventually.
So Eric, were you seasoned enough at that point to kind of play into the campiness a little bit? No, you know what I mean?
No, totally. It's a good question, and yes and no, because I had just come off of Joseph, which was bigger than life, right? I'm the Pharaoh. I come out in the second act. He's like in Greece, the second act, the beauty school dropout.
Yeah, the teen angel or whatever.
Production's huge, and the sound is huge,
right?
And so I'm playing to Rosie Z, every night.
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
So I kind of brought that to Passions. The problem is I also brought that ridiculous vibrato into my first set of scenes, which was Lindsay Hartley being strapped to a gurney, being put to death, while I was on the panes of the glass crying my ass. This was my first day. Yeah. And so everyone's like, in the room going, can't believe this. And I'm like, I can't believe this. Let's take five. So director came down. I think it was Karen. She came down. She's like, listen, you're doing a great job, but you really have to tone it down like 64 notches.
Yeah,
that was a big lesson. I'm like, this is not theater, and I know it's campy and silly, but these booms are going to pick you up, so keep it tight. And that's an art form in itself, trying to take this crazy ass dialogue that we get and somehow finding a way to make it.
I know, it's crazy, right?
I know, yeah.
It's
doing it your whole life, and
totally.
I think that's why we get the big nickels,
There you go.
That's right.
I still get paid in coins. It's great.
Bitcoin. That's funny. I do too.
The coin shortages is all because of soap actors. That's how we demand to get paid.
I have a coin star in my house, actually.
What percent do they take?
Yeah, right.
I get it.
7?
Only.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's funny, like, because luckily my character because I came from a very similar place. Like I all from musical theater, and then when I came to LA, I did a couple single camera things before I booked this show, and thankfully, like, my character always got to be pretty big.
Yeah,
and so
I'll ice your cake, you dude. I thought you did a really good job of bringing that comedic thing, but rooting it in this guy that was also very vulnerable and interesting. I've watched you over the years.
Thanks, man. Well, we were in the same category. We were in the same category for you. We were in the same category for years, and you picked up a couple of them, didn't you?
I got one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Two.
Wait. Were you nominated those years?
Well, he and I were nominated against each other. I think it was in 2014.
That's right. That's the year. That was the first year it wasn't televised, when Kathy Griffin was the
right
host or whatever, and
Billy
Bush gave me my trophy, and it was just weird all the way around. But
totally was.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'm sorry about that, Steve. But you got it. You got a couple too. You didn't need one more, did you?
I do need one more. But I don't know. We'll see what happens.
You winners can do another podcast about your awards later, okay?
Oh, don't worry. We will.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Sorry, buddy.
But that was also the time that we like did fun stuff as a genre. Like we were in Mexico on a boat together a few times, and that's really, I feel like, when I got to know you a little bit.
That's right. That was all right.
He obviously doesn't know.
It was very profound for him. Yes, I know.
No, I remember this because Steve, do you know this?
No, Eric, this was the best thing ever that you forgot him. It's the greatest thing I've ever
I didn't forget him. He was the most memorable person on the boat because he broke his leg playing basketball.
Yes. Oh, there you go. Pretty much.
Remember that?
Who does that?
That was I tore my Achilles. Billy Warlock was guarding me, and I still tore my Achilles.
We had a couple hours before the dinner or whatever, and he shows up in crutches. I'm like, what did you do? And he's like, oh, I ripped my leg apart. And
I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, was that a good idea? A soap cruise?
I think I did like 3 or 4. You've never done one, dude?
Hell no.
You can't get
No
him on a boat.
way, bro.
That's a hard no,
No.
man.
Yeah.
No, that's a hard pass.
I don't know. They were, they're a little rough, but I had a good time. I try to have a good time wherever the heck I am.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it wasn't the worst thing to,
Where was it? Where'd you guys go?
It was Key West,
Mexico,
Miami,
I think.
Key West, and Cozumel.
Cozumel.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Lovely
Yeah.
Cozumel. Yeah, it was interesting. That's for sure. But it had a casino, which I liked.
Yeah.
Sure. Who doesn't?
I taught Kyle Lauder how to play craps on that particular cruise, I think. And
Awesome.
Wally Kurth, he was throwing dice with us for a while, so I just remember that. And that's,
Yeah.
because we don't always get to bond at work because you never know who you're working with. Sometimes
Totally.
these events are the only ways in which we really get to know one another.
And that's what we should bring. Like, I've always just wanted to have just a big dinner
Yeah.
for people to come, like, because Maggiano's is kind of centrally located over there. Get a big room there and just have everyone come and hang out like once a month or once every 6 months, like from all
That's
shows.
a great idea.
All
Didn't
shows.
you guys used to have like a softball league where the cast would play one another and stuff like that? Never really
Not as
took
much
off.
in New York. It was more in New York. We had some softball games, but it wasn't, But I think just getting together, like, especially now.
That's the only reason I look forward to the Emmys, honestly.
Well, sure.
To
It's the one time. Yeah.
Just to talk to, guys like you that obviously have so much in common, yet so little time to actually.
I know, dude.
Hard. LA is tough. My best
tough.
friends are an hour down the road, and it's really hard with.
Yeah.
I have teenage boys now, twin boys. I'm ridiculously busy. I'm an unpaid Uber driver right now.
Yeah. Right.
How old are your boys?
They're 15, man.
And my son's 15 also. Yeah.
So, just yesterday I walked in the family room to sit down and maybe, watch some basketball like I always do when I get home. And sure enough, there was Chase with this lovely tennis player, this girl just sitting there and had his hand kind of on her knee. And I'm like, hi.
Hey.
Hey, Dad.
And you are?
Do you mind watching TV in the bedroom? Holy crap. Sure, man.
Wow.
Sorry, nice to meet you.
Wow.
It just
That's
happened
awesome,
like
dude.
that. Not even a warning of like, hey, Dad, by the way. No, she just showed up and it's on. The girls
Yeah.
are on now.
Yeah.
Two things I want to. Well, first I want to start with. I want to ask you about like that time you moved to Vegas, and the reasons why you. Because I live in Sacramento, and I remember talking to you, and it's about like we had similar ideas of why we were doing this, and I know you're back, and so how was that experience for you? Like trying to find the best life for you and your family within the life that you exist in, right?
I remember this conversation, and I'll tell you what, the kindest way for me to talk about that is it was a life lesson. It was a learning experience. It did not work out the way we wanted. It was one of those business opportunities that looked great on paper, but at the end of the day, what adrenalized the whole move, me moving my family to Vegas, was fear of the show. There was a giant rumor going down, which I upheld, that the show is probably not going to make it through the next.
Interesting.
year. And Lisa and I kind of put our heads together, and she's a retired dancer. And it's not like she's going to go dance on Broadway to make a check right now. So we were like, let's do business. Let's do it. Let's throw all our eggs into this basket and try it. And we moved to Vegas pretty quick, tried to open up this fitness facility. And as luck would have it, J-Lo and J-Rod were financing a very, very similar project about a mile down the road in Summerlin in Vegas.
Oh,
and
come
just
on.
ripped us up. Like we put it up. It was going pretty well, and it just took us out of business.
Wow.
They offered for a nickel what we were offering for a dime. And
Right.
we stayed out there because the boys were already ingratiated in their school. I didn't want to move them again. I've had a lot of guilt as a dad for moving my kids around so much. So I drove my butt back and forth to Vegas for 2 years every weekend.
Wow.
And most of that time I knew that this business was not going to happen.
Last. Yeah.
Sure.
So we licked our wounds, and they were some deep rooted wounds, and we moved back here to 2000 Oaks, and by the grace of God, we're doing great, and the boys love their school. They're
awesome.
thriving as students, as boys. They're doing great. So
Yeah,
it was tough. I can't sugarcoat it. It was a hard.
Yeah.
Not
Dude.
everything works. It was no fault of our own.
No, that's okay. I mean,
gosh,
listen, there's a few great things that you said, right? The one thing is making the decision out of fear and scarcity, right? You can't ever make a decision that way because usually it doesn't work out. But
bad incentive.
Yeah, but you guys did it, and you learned from it and you grew from it, and that's all you can do with something like that.
We grew
Trust
a
me,
lot.
I've had about 3 of those, Eric, that are just that you like. It took me years not to think about it and want to throw up.
Yeah, it stings.
You know what I mean?
It really does.
It does. So.
But we did when we first started telling our friends and family that we were going to do this. Like, friends were calling me up saying, "Are you guys all right? Like, are you getting a divorce? Like, you're sending your family to Vegas?" And I was like, "No. The reason we're doing this is because we're good. We're tight, and we can weather this storm. We can do this."
Right.
It's an adventure. I work in Burbank. I can get on a plane and be in Vegas in like 45 minutes. It's actually a less of a commute than from Burbank to 1000 Oaks. I can almost 100%. Get to Vegas in the same amount of time on a Southwest.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. But we it strengthened us as a couple and as a family. And my boys to this day are like, that was cool.
The adventure.
Then we just totally. And we would go to the Red Rock Casino and bowl and hang out and have fun. And
yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah, you make the best of a bad situation, and we tried.
100%.
And that's not to say that thing making the best out of a bad situation is a segue to this, but you've been on a daytime show from 2001 basically all the way through to that's 20 years of doing daytime solid. And as a creative person, as a like, you have obviously found joy in these situations and gratitude and all that stuff, but like, how creatively, like, what still gets you going? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it, are you still finding, obviously you still find joy in your job at days. I'm not trying to say anything otherwise, but like, what still gets you going about that job? And if you're looking for ways to get that creativity going outside of days, what do you do?
Well, that musical nerve that I have in me is always, itchy.
Awesome.
So I'm always finding an outlet. I just did Mamma Mia in Thousand Oaks a couple weeks ago. Patrick Cassidy, he was the artistic director over at the Thousand Oaks Civic.
Yeah.
And that was a year ago. He asked me to do Sam and Mamma Mia, but then he picked up and left and went to Nashville. But he's like, I still want you to do the Mamma Mia gig. I'm like, okay. So I've always, throughout my soap time, I've always found a way. I did Little Abner at UCLA. I'm always looking to do some kind of a musical project. Yeah. So that's never left me. But I won't lie to you. Yeah, it is hard. The monotony does kick in sometimes with daytime and the recycled storylines. This beat again. I just love what it gives me as a family man. I'm always at dinner. We have a hard out at 5:00 every night over there.
Do you really? Wow.
So
that's awesome.
I am always home. If my boys have something that I can make it, I can do it. If I'm doing movies, man, I'm stuck in Bulgaria or something. Or
dude, I know.
And I'm missing out.
Yeah.
So it's important to me. And going full circle, that's what my father, that was his big worry. He always said, my only problem, Eric, is you're probably not going to be able to be an actor and have a normal life with your kids and well, I kind of did. I found, which is the beauty of daytime. I think a lot of people stay in it. That very
course.
Solid.
For sure.
And that's important to me. It really, really is. I'm raising men right now, and I gotta be around.
I love that. I love that. It's so important, Eric. So important. Yeah, 100%.
Being creative is, you can find it in so many places. Just get involved. I've done children's theater shows. I was a director for a children's theater for a while, just to wet my whistle in some other thing.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
awesome,
Are your boys into the arts at all?
My son did a movie with me, and he came up to me after the day. He's like, Dad, that was a lot of waiting around. He thought we were like going to be on the whole time and acting. No, you act for 20 minutes, you wait for 8 hours in your little trailer, whatever. Right. So, but he did want to. He modeled a little bit early on, but no, it's not his thing. He actually wants to be a dermatologist, which I think is amazing.
That's amazing.
The other one wants to be an engineer. They are kooky and silly kids, and they sing. They're also ridiculous athletes. I'm pretty blessed. These two boys, there's a lot to be proud of.
That's awesome.
They're also a pain in the ass, I'll tell you that.
Well,
sure are.
But,
spirited.
Yeah, they're spirited. Very my way or the highway, Dad. Like, what can you possibly teach me?
Dude, isn't it amazing?
That they know everything at the age of 15.
I know.
Unbelievable.
But I try to look back, Eric, and go, was I this way?
Yeah.
Like, I try to go, was I really this way? Like, because I mean, it's just like, come on, Dad. I said, Jack, can you pick up your freaking clothes here for me? Oh, come on, Dad. I mean, what? Like this whole thing. Like,
oh my God.
So,
can you pick up your sock? Oh God. Biggest deal. Yet they will go in the pool and play 3 water polo games, which consist of constantly treading water, getting a guy leaning on you while you're trying to tread water, while you're holding a ball. 3 hours of that, and the happiest dudes on earth. But picking up that sock off the floor, that is a pain in the rump.
Do they eat you out of house and home after that?
Oh,
as far as like food, like
yes,
they know me by my first name in Costco. They say, hey, like, hey. Well, because I mean, I'm thinking salmon and my steaks and like
well, because I'm just thinking teenage, teenage boys crazy, anyway. But the teenage boys burning that amount of calories doing that's crazy.
I mean, I don't give them too much crap. I mean, they eat all my food. I go to get something to eat and it's not there, but I know what they're doing. They're in the pool 5 to 6 days a week. Like,
that's amazing, dude. Good for you.
They're in this ridiculous, Steve, ridiculous shape. These kids. I'm like,
that's awesome.
Swimming is where it's at. But my son also had an issue.
Swimming.
He had an issue with his back, though. He has a very mild form of spina bifida in his lower back. So when he was dealing with soccer or water polo, his orthopedist said, you're better off doing non-impact stuff. So the decision was made for him. He's like, the pool, it's perfect.
Done. I love it. Great.
Yeah.
These kids growing up. Like, remember when we did sports, it was like a season?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
Now these kids are doing their sport year long, whether it's club, school, all these different, and their bodies are still growing. So all this impact is having these awful effects. These kids are getting surgeries at the age of 10, 12.
Yeah, these kids are getting
repetitive stress
John
injuries and
like
stuff.
Kids like Tommy John surgeries in their teen years.
Yeah,
because they're playing all year long. Like I love playing soccer and then football and then baseball and then basketball. It was awesome growing up that way.
Is that
now you got to pick one and stick with it the whole year?
I know.
Is that everywhere, or is that just in like California and Florida? Is it everywhere?
It's everywhere, dude.
I don't know.
I think it's everywhere.
I'm a California boy now. I don't know what they're doing in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania these days.
Well, I feel like sometimes the season dictates some of it, right? Like if there's snow on the ground, you can play indoor soccer. Yeah, you can play, but like, are you going to be playing soccer year round like they do out here? Maybe not. I don't know.
Find a way to do it. I'll tell you what. My boys started water polo in the middle of December when it was like 15. It was uncommonly cold out here at the time. It was like 20 degrees.
Yeah,
and they were doing what? The pool had steam coming out. They heat that pool up,
right?
And those kids are in it and they love it.
Sure.
The only thing they hate is getting out.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, it was amazing. Like kids in water, their nerve endings haven't like developed yet. Do you know what I mean? Like I just like kids. If there's a body of water, kids will jump in it.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, so, I knew from the start, my boys, they love 2 things: throwing crap at each other and swimming in the pool. So I'm like, let's think this through. Water polo.
Water polo. There you go.
That matches perfectly. Well, hey man, awesome, it's Eric, so nice to reconnect with you, dude.
I can't wait to see you in person and give you a big kiss. I love you.
Absolutely. No, it's been a long time. I'm so glad. Thanks for talking to me. And
man, of course.
Where you guys?
Where can we direct our listeners to find you and anything you want to share with them?
Oh, just find me on that silly social media, wherever that is. I'm usually
Yeah.
Eric Martsolf at whatever.
Somewhere. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
All right.
There's
Sounds
not
good.
many Martsofs out there. So, guys, again, thank you.
Eric, thank
man.
you, sir. Appreciate
Be
you.
well, buddy.
You guys too.